A beautiful time in the world of sports. Lots of activities happening in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Good evening and welcome to Game On and Favour Itua. Of course, we have a lot lined up for you today in different aspects of sport, where, of course, we talk about issues, dissect issues, and, of course, let you know and bring you up to speed concerning the happenings in the world of sport. I'm not alone in the studio this evening. To my far left, of course, I've got New Central's correspondent, Okpe Adibari, always looking dapper. I mean,
thank you so much, Phil. I mean, I need to try. I need to keep up with you.
We are actually waiting for the day you just give us an invitation. Say, okay, this is the day. Let's just come and.
Why must you put me on the spot? Tunde does this as well.
No, but I'm looking at the combinations actually, and the fact that what we've been seeing these days on social media. I mean, let's keep it. What?
Hopefully, in due time. I don't know. Whatever God has in store, don't worry. You get the invites.
All right, and just by Okpe, we've got a regular on the show, veteran sports journalist and deputy editor of Sporting Life, Onyewichi Wachuku, joins us this evening. Good evening to you. Welcome to Game On.
Yeah, good evening, Favour. I think I want to defend Okpe. Okay. Both of you, Babatunde Koiki, and yourself should lead by example.
Oh, fantastic!
That's it.
Yeah, you should lead by example.
But on the
I've been on Tunde's case for over a decade, so he should.
Where will you play Sudoka?
Well, he's a successful bachelor.
All right, I've got also making an appearance again on the show, talking about New Telegraph correspondent, talking about Charles Ogundiya. Good evening, welcome to Game On.
Good evening, Favour. But Favour, seriously, we have to discuss this. It's getting from Akwa Ibom down to Lagos, Port Harcourt. Nothing has been done about it.
I think we should focus on sports this evening, and let's just go straight.
You started it.
You started it.
All right. Anyways, one thing is certain, they say man shall not live alone. That's why, of course, we have a lot of persons who still think that it's important to have them. But nevertheless, let's talk sports. Don't forget, you can be part of the conversation via our social media platform at New Central TV on X, YouTube, not forgetting also Instagram and Facebook. The first of activities tonight has to do with athletics, where, of course, it was actually a wonderful weekend, a fantastic one indeed in the world of athletics, where Nigerian athletes right there in the United States of America had a brilliant one, and some of them qualifying for the Olympics, especially talking about Favour Ofili, of course, who blazed to a second fastest season opener and the fastest time in 2 years on Friday, taking charge of Erhire to win with a time of 22.33 seconds, which automatically qualified her for the Paris 2024 Olympics. Also in the men's 4x400-meter hurdles, Nathaniel smashed his own national record with a brilliant of 48.29 seconds. That also secured him automatic qualification for the Paris 2024 Olympics. I must also start with, of course, Charles. You were at the African Games. You had an opportunity to see, especially Nathaniel and Ezekiel, but Favour Ofili also, she's doing really well in the United States of America, and this is one thing also we need to also talk about and look at for Nigerian athletes. What do you make of, what we're seeing right now in the world of athletics with Nigerian athletes abroad?
The point is, let me put it this way. We had a conversation with the technical director of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and in the presence of Samuel Nukeku. And according to him, it was like they had so many athletes out there who were unable to make it to Ghana, and they are expecting them to do better when they get to the Olympics. And like you said, we have Favour Ofili 22.33. She's now currently number 4 in the world at the moment. But we have so many of them out there who would definitely compete against her. Back-to-back world championship winner is already there. Talking about Sherika Jackson. She won in Budapest, she won in Oregon, and she will be there competing at the Olympics against Ofili. And Ofili was not in Ghana, definitely, but hopefully she can come in and do something, get into Olympics. And mind you, we don't have Olympics alone this year. We still have African Championship later this year in Cameroon. So we're looking at most of these athletes coming around, improving on their time. They've just started their outdoor. Most of them have been indoor. They've just started their outdoor. So let's see what they can do going forward. They have to improve on what they've done and continue like that. Nathaniel have already qualified, but what he did at Tom Jones is another confirmation, a better time than what he had in the past. So let's see how these people can. But seriously, we need to do better they need to really get into it, but they've just started their season, so we have the time.
All right, they just started their season. Oyeuchi, I will come to you. Looking at, the plethora of athletes we have abroad, Godson Brume, Favour Ash, Favour Ofili, lots of them not doing badly at the moment. The last Olympics, we had just one medal from athletics coming from the field event, that's long jump, from AC Brume. Aside that, it was a wrestling event. How optimistic are you that athletics can actually deliver more than a medal at this year's Paris 2024 Olympics?
Favour, that's a difficult question. Guys, I don't think we should get carried away by our performance at the African Games. When you look at the records, I think only once did we fail to win the athletics event of the African Games. So we have always, won the athletics event, and the same thing happened at the African Games. Charles and I covered the African Games. But I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Shekiri was on this program from Canada, and I think I want to key into what he said. If we want to win medals, we begin to, now that some of our athletes are qualifying, they are returning very brilliant times, we need to begin to support them with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and the Sports Ministry. And that was what Shekiri was saying, that they need grants to help them prepare for the Olympic Games. Just need to identify some of the potential medal hopefuls in athletics and begin to support them. It's not everybody will win any medal. Maybe bronze. You just said it at the last Olympic. It was Ese Brume who won a medal. So we begin to support them and give them the grants and the technical assistance. He mentioned about the technical director of the AFL, who is doing quite a brilliant job with the federation. But we need much more support from the ministry, from the federal government, and from the AFN. The support should come in terms of grants, giving these athletes money to prepare for the Olympic Games. There is what they call peak period for every athlete. So when you give them money, they could avoid some other tournaments because they need these tournaments to make money. So if we want to win medals, we know what to do, and I hope they do the right thing.
All right, we hope they do the right thing. We must also talk about the fact that since the exodus of Blessing Okagbare, in the sense that she was banned due to doping, we've also, some messages were expressed fear for those that were still looking at how we'll be able to move away from there. But Rosemary Chukwuma is also in the block when it comes to the women's category. And it seems that amongst all the athletics events, Nigeria is more optimistic to even get something in the 4x4, 4x1. Looking at the kind of athletes we have at the moment, especially with the speed of these athletes that just completed Invitational. But let's look at it critically. It's been the collegiate, schools in the U.S. The schools in the U.S. have been the one pushing our athletes, giving them exposure and training them. But then you ask yourself, what is the Athletics Federation doing aside what these schools are doing for athletes over there to give them more exposure?
Yeah, it's a valid question. And then when you think about it, it's mind-boggling because those are our own. But then again, they've gone outside the country to better their careers. And then when you think about it, for some of them in the near future, what if the US starts to offer them the chance to represent the US? It's going to be a no-brainer for them because they are in a state whereby it's number one, it's an enabling environment. They have access to these brands who will start to sponsor them in terms of the kits that they'll be wearing for events. Let me just take you a couple of years ago, back to 2018. A particular name, Toluwani Adebakin, comes to mind. In 2018, he was the second fastest sprinter in the whole of US universities. He wanted to come to Nigeria and for the trials. And then, according to him, he said that the AFN was not able to provide accommodation for him and not even take care of his flights down to Nigeria. And when he had a discussion with his parents, they just said to him, look, just stay over there instead of coming here.
Is it a job of the AFN at that time to have done that?
But the question is, when you want athletes based abroad to come and represent Nigeria, fine, you tell them that you want them to come and compete with the local based athletes. You need to provide at least something for them, one way or the other. Even if it's not accommodation, you're not going to take care of the flights, something at least must be done for them. How do you want to show commitment towards these athletes going forward at the end of the day?
Charles?
I think I will disagree with what you just said because the truth is, even these athletes, it's just like the football of this world. Come around, we will return it. You will pay your return ticket.
That's for trials. That's a big difference.
This is for trials. They're coming home for trials. That's what they're coming home for. And the fact still remains that most of these athletes, talking about them coming home, I can bet you, I've been involved in so many trials in my just little career. I've been to more than 10 national trials, if not more. I'm talking about 10, more than 10. And I can bet you they pay for return ticket of most of this. In fact, the home-based athlete should be the one complaining about things like this. Because most times when it comes around, what they get, they give them kind of not the same accommodation with the foreign base, but these foreign-based athletes have really, most time, the difference is, like some of our footballers will do, they will tell you they want to go with first class. It is not done. If you want to go through first class or business, no, if you want to go with first class or business, then you can catch up with it. If they give you economy, then you can meet up with the balance. That's, I'm not definitely, because they have their own too. But the truth is, these athletes definitely will get whatever belongs to them. Sometimes you will see them, it's only in Ghana that I even experienced that all of them were put in the same hostel. Both foreign and home-based athletes, they were together in the same hostel. National trials in Calabar, I've been to several ones in Calabar, Benin, Ozoro in Delta State, Asaba, they are always, you see the foreign base somewhere else.
But then again, there's a standard. There's a standard because for these athletes, when they are over there overseas, the standard of, obviously, I'm not going to compare the standard of accommodation over there to Nigeria. But then again, the basics in terms of what they are provided with, down to their kits, down to feeding as well. So when they now come over to Nigeria, it's a totally different ballgame. So the question is, would you really advise, I mean, assuming it was your relative or your son, would you really advise them to come over just because they want to represent Nigeria?
Somebody said
then again, it was an invite. So it's a different thing from him wanting to come on his own accord compared to him being invited. So at least
I think it's a level of communication.
Okay.
And trust issues. We've had issues in the past where federations, maybe not AFN, have made promises. We've seen it in NFF, we've seen it in other areas where promises have been made and they were not fulfilled. As we are talking now, I think some bonuses and allowances are still owed the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So this, and the world is a global village, and people who live in diaspora are always following what is happening in this country. So you need that ability to convince them to put in their money and come. And if they are able to key into that, they can come and get their return ticket back.
All right.
But I'm against any disparity between foreign and home-based. All athletes are Nigerian athletes. Whether you are based abroad or based here, all of us are human beings, and they should be treated equally. This issue of disparity does not encourage, patriotism. It does not encourage cohesion. It does not give room for, unity. When we went to the African Games, Charles can attest to the fact that we had more home-based, athletes participating
70%
at the African Games. And if not for the likes of Amusan and Ezebrume.
Amusan, Ezebrume,
and
Nekwechi, yes, then the javelin thrower. Yes, the discus thrower, the javelin thrower, short put. Okay, most fit athletes are foreign-based, but the rest are home-based.
All right, let's look at it this way. You just mentioned about talked about the African Games, the fact that most of them were home-based athletes. After the African Games, what next for them? In the sense that some of them do not even have the opportunities to go to another country to compete, except waiting for maybe another national trial or maybe an independent athletics event that they have the opportunities to go for. What lies for the home-based athletes who already have prospects? Some of them that shone at the just concluded African Games. Now we're seeing that we're preparing for the Olympics, but all hopes is now suddenly focused on the likes of Favour Ofili, Rosemary Chukwuma, Godson Brume, Favour Ash, and you ask yourself the question, what is the benefit of still remaining here? I mean, being an athlete in Nigeria, knowing fully well that in a calendar year, you may not have the opportunity of going to 5 meets when it comes to athletics in Nigeria.
I need to come into this and looking at, like I said, I had a discussion with the AFN technical director, and according to what he said, they need to go back to the old days, whereby the home-based athletes competed favorably with the foreign base. They come around, let them come around for the trials. There has been the issue of Favour not trying to come on for trials, and then at the end of the day, she will want to be part of the relay team, because one of the major things they are focusing on this time around happen to be the relay. The 4x1 men and women, the 4x4 men and women, and probably the 4x4 mixed relay. And if you look at it, this is the first time, I would say it categorically, in recent years that we had betting exchange between these athletes. That it was
Very
so
seamless.
perfect,
Very
very seamless, and that was one of the things that helped us to win those 4 medals at the African Games. And if you can continue with this team, you don't have to be the fastest. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, go look at the 4x4 women. Botswana was leading, definitely. But it was during the batting exchange that Patience Okon George took off. That was the person that took the second leg of the race. And that was the end of it. If you look at the race, this girl was just coming up, Brittany Ogumokun was just coming up. And Brittany was able to keep on with that distance because of what the others have done for her. Before the first exchange, we were not leading. Botswana was leading. The person that started the race was not leading. It was the Botswana that was leading. And suddenly, after the exchange, because of their own error in exchanging their batting, Patience Okon George took off, and that was the end of the whole thing. So, if we can continue holding these athletes together, for me personally, we should not, like you said, we should not bother. We can win, yes, we can get to finals. Anything can happen because, as a woman said one thing, he said she go to championship not as number 1 or number 2 or number 3, because as number 1 you can get there and something will happen and that will be the end of your competition.
True.
But with consistency, we can get there. Let's concentrate on the relay and see how we can get it done.
All right, let's see how we can get it done. By the way, Favour Ofili happens to be the next big thing, according to some persons, after Blessing Okagbare. I mean, how much of pressure do you think she will be going into the Olympics, knowing fully well that when it comes to the short distance race, she is one of Nigeria's hope when it comes to getting medals?
Definitely, as an individual and someone who is ambitious, she would be thinking about it. I think, first of all, before you even consider external factors in trying to put pressure on her, she as an individual, she would want to do well, represent, make a name for herself, and definitely represent Nigeria well also. So
that's a record on the screen. Some of the things she has been able to do in her career in the world of athletics. Okay.
yeah, so she's doing very well for herself so far. But then again, I think her personal ambition is probably going to be the deciding factor in terms of her winning medals for Nigeria before we then consider external factors. She has a very good chance, in my own opinion, and I like the fact that she's been competing regularly. It gives her a chance to measure herself when it comes to good timing as well as getting medals as well. So far, so good for her, and I hope that she continues to stay healthy as the Olympics are fast around the corner.
All right, Charles, before we leave athletics, I'd like to ask you, what do you think she needs to do to improve or to keep up the momentum going into the Summer Games? You
just said it, keeping healthy. That's one of the most important things, because like Tobi Amusan said this year, as Brume said, they are fit this year compared to some previous years where they battle with injuries and stuff like that. This time around, they are fit and they hope to keep fit. Then, one of the major problems affecting our athletes are those competing from schools. Because this school, they are paying for they are paying for everything for you. So they want to use you to get points, to get medals, to get everything.
But can you really blame them?
You can't blame them. That's just the truth. That's why, but you can't still force these athletes to become professionals. Because by the time they turn professional, that means they have to start paying for their school fees themselves. They have to start paying for their training grants and everything. So the most important thing is, let's see how we can help them negotiate with their schools and see how they can reduce the force on them to compete almost every other week. Some of these athletes compete every week, every 2 weeks, like 4 or 5 competitions. This will weigh them down when they want to compete at major championship.
All right, to wait to see how it pans out for our Nigerian athletes going into the Summer Games. Lots of expectations, especially in athletics, after the dominance at the African Games in Ghana. Let's now go straight to the world of table tennis, the ITTF World Cup. The draws have been made for Aruna Quadri and Egypt Omar Asal. The African Table Tennis Federation has confirmed that Quadri Aruna, Nigeria's sole flag bearer at the ITTF World Cup Masao 2024, will contest in Group 15 of the men's singles. According to the statement, the Nigerian will slug it out against Portugal's Marcos Freitas and Puerto Rico's Dalian Gonzalez. Similarly, Egypt's Omar Asal has also been handed a tough task of progressing from the group. Aruna, a regular face at the ITTF World Cup, remains the first and only African to have reached the quarterfinal stage of the $1 million prize money tournament. Nigeria will begin its campaign against Portugal's Freitas on the 15th of April. Oyewuchi, after a series of back and forth with Aruna Quadri in the last few weeks about the treatment from the world bodies when it comes to participation, he will be part of this tournament and is looking forward to improve on his rankings and maybe get money from this tournament. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of pressure on Aruna Quadri. It's just between him and Omar Assad. At the African Games, he won the silver at the singles event. Omar Assad won the gold medal. It was almost a clean sweep for the Egyptians. At the World Cup, he has the best record as far as the African continent is concerned. You just read it out that he's still the only African to get to the quarterfinals. So it's a lot of pressure, and I hope he will be able to manage that kind of pressure because you are playing against the best table tennis players in the world. And for Aruna Quadri, we just hope that he's able to surpass the quarterfinal record, and he's been able to put the issue he had with the previous tournament where he was fairly treated. And at the African Games, he had issues too. I think we were not. I think the federation and the ministry were not able to manage him properly. At the stage, he got overworked. He was playing almost so regularly, and fatigue set in. At the point he was injured, and all that. I hope he has recovered fully, because this is the biggest stage. And if he's able to surpass the quarterfinal stages, then that will be good for him, and that will also be good for Africa.
All right, Charles, before now, we used to talk about Aruna Quadri, Segun Toriola. Now Segun Toriola is no longer the same. Aruna Quadri has got into a level whereby maybe in the next 2-3 years, you might just call it a quit. Who are the next set of persons you should be looking forward to take over the bats from these wonderful gentlemen?
Nobody has even mentioned Omotayo recent. Omotayo has been there too. Omotayo has been
consistency.
There. And, yes, but when you talk about consistency, okay, you talk about Aruna just now. Aruna finished. I think Aruna have only defeated Omar Assad like once since they've been competing against each other. Omar Assad have practically been defeating him, even here in Lagos.
That was in Congo Brazzaville.
Yeah,
so him at the quarterfinal.
It has always been a kind of then when you talk about Segun Toriola, Segun Toriola is now a coach with the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation. We have so many of them, but thank you. But what are they doing? Where are the competition for them? How are they preparing for championship?
But then some of them don't have the same funding as Aruna Quadri.
That is just the point. How are they going to get this?
The Sports Federation, and when they come out to release the budget in the House, they tell you that this is the money allocated to sport in the year 2024.
How much is this money? That's the question.
Do you know that
how much is this money? We mentioned Egypt. I looked at the budget of Egypt. I mean, the Table Tennis Federation of Egypt. It's even bigger than that of the Super Eagles.
Okay.
You mentioned table tennis alone. That's my fear now. Egypt is hosting the next African Games, and it's going to be a very difficult one for almost every other country. You can imagine a country that prepares for 4 years. We prepare maybe 6 months, 3 months for our competition. Then looking at some of our athletes, it's always about them alone. As in, they keep on struggling on their own to get things done. So we need this. Let's leave government alone now. Some of these athletes are talking about outside. They get private sponsorship. They get companies. They get individuals. Let government do something about giving all these companies a tax rebate whereby they can come in, support these athletes, put money on ground, and let these athletes continue to compete, which is going to help us.
All right, we'll wait to see how it goes in the next few weeks or next few months. Remember that the former minister did adopt an athlete. I don't know how consistent it is at the moment, but one thing is certain, I've not heard anyone say they are still doing that particular, scheme or whatever it is. Already the former sport minister has a sports club, a football team at the moment, Black Scorpions, so he's not even looking forward to that anymore. And there's no consistency or what is called continuity when it comes to the government in Nigeria. Sports policy. So wait to see how it goes, but then we have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking all things football. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Game On, and this time around, we'll go straight to the world of football. After the last few days of waiting for match day 30 of the Nigerian Premier Football League, we eventually will have it on Tuesday and Wednesday. Interesting fixtures lined up for you. via, of course, the board of the NPFL. Gombe United will be at home to Kwara United. Sporting Lagos will take on Sunshine Stars. Eyimba International in an Oriental derby will take on Heartland FC of Owerri. Enugu Rangers, another Oriental derby against Abia Warriors in Enugu. Akwa United will be hoping to get back to winning ways against Niger Tornadoes. Bayelsa United against Katsina United. Bendel Insurance against Kano Pillars. And Rivers United will be up against Plateau United. The fixtures for Tuesday, and then Wednesday we get to see Doma United against Remo Stars. I mean, Oyewuchi, it's now the business end of the league. We're getting to see adrenaline's fly, tempers fly left, right, center. Teams have become hostile. And just this evening, we got a report that it was alleged that the deputy governor of Benue State was in Ibadan to train with Lobby Stars ahead of the game against Shooting Stars, and it was alleged that he was harassed. They said he wanted to come and fix a game, and it's not strange to us at this point in time that we're hearing talks of this, especially when we have less than 10 games to go.
Yeah, first and foremost, Favour, I think it's quite shoddy the way they have postponed the last weekend's matches. It has been postponed twice. I heard of some journalists who traveled to Enugu hoping to move from one center to the other, arriving there and discovering that the game has been postponed. Just about when they were about to settle down to that reality, they announced that another postponement. So I think it's not good enough for the league. We are talking about closing the gap with the rest of the world, and we shouldn't be doing things in a very shoddy manner. It's not good for even the broadcast rights owners. It's not good for sponsorship. You don't postpone games. Apart from force majeure, things that maybe natural disasters. You just don't wake up. I hope some of the news we are hearing is not true. That they're having issues. Internal wranglings here and there, but it's not really good. Straight to the games, just like you said, teams. That is a typical Nigerian league season. When it starts, you get some home away victories here and there. But now teams are becoming desperate. Lobby Stars are seeing the title. They are fancying their chances of winning the title, and deputy governor coming to train in Ibadan. And you know how the traditional teams, fans of Shooting Stars, will always behave. They feel that the man is coming with his retinue of aides and security details. He wants to intimidate the referee. That's the interpretation. And they want to start tackling that from the training session. And this is not good enough. I think we must not mix. Politicians should leave football for football people. For me, that's what I feel. Politicians, the other time it was insurance when the deputy governor registered and all that. It created a lot of issues. People argued for and against. But let the players, the coaches, and the officials handle the clubs.
All right, let's look at the table at the moment. The NPFL table for the top 6 and the bottom 6. We know, of course, that Rangers looking forward to consolidate and then move on. We have Rangers International being top of the table with Lobby Stars. For the goal difference separates Rangers from Lobby. Remo Stars third with 49 points. Eyimba fourth. Plateau United fifth. Katsina United sixth with 44 points. And then the bottom 6, we have, yes, you want to mention Akwa United amongst the bottom 3, but then 14, Sunshine Stars, Bayelsa United 15, Akwa United 16, Rivers United with lots of outstanding matches 17th, Akwa United 18, Heartland FC of Owerri 19th on the log. I mean, not a good one. And a quick one, Okwa, you get to see that Akwa United just about 2 seasons ago were champions of the league, but they're battling relegation. That's to show you that anything can happen.
Definitely. But for me, for Akwa United, I think it's just a case of good players moving on and them not being able to replace them with quality players. That's what happened in the Nigerian league because we don't have, none of the teams have quality in depth. That's even the first thing. And then once those players, once the team becomes successful, these players find ways to ply their trade abroad, and then it's then difficult for the team to replace the players. We took a look at the table right now. We didn't even see Gombe United there who are 20th.
They are rooted.
Yeah. So, for them, I think they're going to be plying their trade in the NNL next season.
All right, we'll wait to see how it goes. And talking about coaching in the world of football for Nigeria, just about a week ago or some days ago, we got to know that Manu Garba would be the coach of the under-17 team. And lots of questions were asked to the Nigerian Football Federation as to who would be the assistant of Manu Garba. And from the reports we are getting, one man has been favored to be one of the assistants of Manu Garba. That's talking about the coach of Beyond Limits, no other person, Olumide Ajibolade of Beyond Limits. We hear he's close and he's been tipped to become one of the assistants of Manu Garba. I mean, we followed his triumph just about some weeks ago. Yeah. He's doing really well and then is favored for the job.
Yeah, for me, he's a player improvement expert. That's where his job really lies. That's where he specializes on, and that's why he's the coach of Beyond Limits. A couple of weeks ago at Italy, he took them to the Viareggio tournament, competing against the best of the best academies, alongside two other Nigerian academies as we're talking about Ikorodu FC and Ojodu FC. Beyond Limits turned out to be the champions. They've been competing in the TCC league as well. I believe it's done and dusted for them. So he knows what he's doing in terms of player development, and I think he's going to be a great coach, be a great assistant coach. Last week, I did tell you, Favour, I said, look, for Manu Garba to make this successful, I know it's just 1 month before the tournament, but for me, I just said, go to Beyond Limits, go to Ojodu FC, go to Ikorodu FC, the best of the best from those
some people say also Miss Palace.
Yeah, why not?
Jos.
But then the best of the best from those players who plied their trade in Italy in February, get them, put them together, and then we can be competitive with the chance of probably winning the tournament.
Should he get the job? Do you think it's a good addition to Manu Garba's squad?
Yeah, his abilities are not in doubt. My worry is that, I have a problem with the way the Nigerian Football Federation handles appointment of coaches. Manu Garba has been appointed. He has less than a few weeks to assemble a squad. Ladan Boso complained about the same thing, although he paraded a mediocre squad at the African Games. That's not even an excuse. It was a shambolic team, embarrassing, But few weeks to a major tournament, you appoint a coach, you don't even have an idea of his assistants. And the coach is as good as his assistants. We have seen world-class coaches like Pep Guardiola. At the point in time, it was Mikel Arteta that was his assistant. That shows you the quality that the assistants, should possess. And here we are still speculating. It's still a rumor. This guy has the abilities, but it has not been confirmed. So why are they wasting time? Just last weekend, Kenneth Omeru was pleading that they should get a coach for the Super Eagles.
Until now, we've not heard anything.
In June, they are going to play against the Bafana of South Africa. Now we are talking about his assistants, Manu Garba's assistants. Few weeks to, he doesn't even know his team. He has not been able, he has not
and it's not even easy because you don't have a team at the moment.
Exactly.
It starts from
then your
scratch.
Assistants are going to work with you. You must bond. There must be a chemistry. They must understand you, know what you want, and you too will be able to know, how to harness the capacities, the potentials of these assistants. So it doesn't go well for us.
All right, we'll wait to see and hear from the NFF in the coming days. The under-17 yet to get an assistant coach. The Super Eagles of Nigeria were still waiting for the announcement. I mean, the Black Stars of Ghana haven't taunted them in the past. They were able to, get a coach without wasting time. But it's not the case of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But anyways, we'll go straight to Europe and we'll talk about what is trending right now in Germany. Bayer Leverkusen have won the Bundesliga title for the first time in their history with 5 games to spare. Xabi Alonso, in his first full season in charge, achieved the impossible, masterminding one of the greatest seasons in European football history. Amongst them, Alex Grimado must rank among the finest free transfer signings ever made. The early season goals from Nigerian striker Victor Boniface propelled them, and everyone followed. And there is, of course, leadership of Granit Xhaka and the glorious gift of the precarious or precious Florian Wirtz. But at the center of the story is Xabi Alonso. And to talk more and explain the triumph and the success of the Bayer Leverkusen squad is the head coach of the under-19 US men's youth national team. Michael Essien joins us once again on Game On. Good evening to you. Welcome to Game On.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, good to see you too. I mean, let's talk about the success story of Bayer Leverkusen. Now, coaches like Antonio Conte, Luis van Gaal, Simeone Inzaghi have all used a 3-man defense system, but none have enjoyed a long winning streak and dominance compared to Xabi Alonso. What do you think makes Alonso's system different?
Yeah, I mean, the 3-man system is one thing, but you can tell in terms of the players and the principles, to me, is the most important thing. You can see some glares of some of the coaches that Xabi played for previously, whether it's Guardiola, Ancelotti, Mourinho, you can see some principles there. The team really dominates positionally on the field. They're able to move the ball forward vertically very quickly, and then they push the opposition back, and they don't make it easy to come out. So it's very easy to see that Leverkusen scoring almost 3 goals a game, but they also concede less than 1 goal a game. As soon as they lose the ball, the pressure that they put on the opponent, it's overwhelming at times. So at some point, the opposition gives way, and they give away goals, and then all of a sudden it starts pouring in. Very dominant in terms of positional play. I think I started to kind of look into the statistics. Almost 700 passes a game, 35 positional attacks a game. It's overwhelming for opposition, and you can tell the players are really enjoying the style of play, being in possession of the ball, and they've taken to this coach very well.
All right, then, Michael, I'm talking about the players enjoying the style of play. Jeremy Frimpong and Alejandro Grimaldo contributed equally with double figures in goals and assists throughout the season. How important are the wing backs to Alonso's system?
Yeah, you can tell right away. These players get up the field, advance very quickly up the field, and they get support from even the side center backs are kind of pushing inside centrally and giving those guys more space to operate. And also the defensive mids are covering those players and giving them a lot of free movement up the field. So these players have the opportunities to come inside and create goal opportunities and shoot, or they push the ball to the wide areas. You can see the assists and the type of crossing that they're able to make. These type of rotations are very important to a team and very difficult for an opposition to kind of manage this overwhelming type of attacking team.
All right, let's look at still talking about the triumph, irrespective of the long-term injury layoffs, to players like Florian Wirtz at the start of the season, and of course Victor Boniface mid-season. Players like Nathan Teller, Broja Iglesias, and Patrick Schick deputized and contributed meaningfully. How important is squad depth for any successful team in the world?
Yeah, I think when you start naming those players, it's almost, they have their own intricacies, but it's almost like for like. You can tell that the sporting team of Leverkusen really went out and got players that really fit their style of play. So if one player is missing, the depth is not going to be hurt. They're not going to take major steps back. The players came in, deputized, were able to score goals and continue with the same style of play. Some teams, you see a player goes missing, they lose a player, and all of a sudden they have to change formation. The team starts to look a little bit different. Leverkusen's been able to keep consistency when players come in and out of the lineup. It doesn't matter the style of play, the dominance, the ability to put the other team on the back foot and press forward is always there. Their principles don't change, and that's the sign of a great coach, and that's a sign of great squad depth. And that consistency is obviously paid off this season. We'll see when they go in the Champions League next season if they can still continue with this type of performances.
Yeah, Michael, I'm particularly intrigued by the fact that Bayer Leverkusen have gone the whole season unbeaten. And it brings me to this argument that a coach is as good as his squad, and that it is the superstars, the quality in the team that makes the coach. And they cited examples of Pep Guardiola, that in his team he has a lot of stars, he has depth. But this Bayer Leverkusen team, will you argue that they've got depth? Will you, your own opinion, will you believe that they have superstars? What is the secret of this team?
Yeah, so I like the way you frame that, but I'd like to go the opposite in terms of an argument. There are some coaches in the world, and I consider these the great ones, the ones that when you talk about man management, they figure out the way to bring the most out of every single player. And they give players confidence and freedom to express themselves. So when we talk about the style of play and the players really enjoying what they're doing, I feel like with Xabi, he's given these players the confidence when their time is up and they're on the field. They feel like he has their complete support, and this can make a player special. If you have a player and they don't feel like they're part of the team, they don't feel like the coach believes in them, they could be a superstar and they can fall dramatically in terms of their confidence. Xabi seems to be giving players that seem to be, I wouldn't say average, but top players, he seems to be giving them confidence to make them exceptional, and that's what's shown throughout this season.
All right, well said, Coach. Quick one. In your opinion, do you think being a former footballer propels you to being a great coach, or does it give you an advantage compared to coaches who didn't play football professionally?
It's a great question. When I look at a player like Zabi and the obviously the coaches that he played under, some players have played under great coaches. I don't think they really took anything from that they can go and execute and be a coach themselves. But Zabi, maybe the position that he played and like the weight that he carried on his teams, maybe he was always getting information from these coaches, and he was able to take that information and now later apply it to what he's doing currently. But it's not every good player, a great player, that can be a great coach. That's definitely not true. But he seems to have a mix of quality that he understands the game, his philosophy greatly, and he makes that clear to his players. But he also seems to have that magic touch in terms of being a human being and being able to relate to his players. And something that I like to believe, it's not just the younger ones that can do that, but I do believe that younger coaches do understand that all players are different and you have to find different buttons to push. It's not the old school mentality that the coach is the center of attention and the players just need to listen to the coach. The coach has to humble himself and go and push the buttons of each players to make sure that he gets the most out of them. And I think that's what's showing the success at Bayer Leverkusen.
All right, great. Thank you, Michael, for your insight. But I'm going to go a bit personal now. A little birdie told me that you've been shortlisted as one of the candidates by the NFF regarding the job for the head coach of the Super Eagles. What are your thoughts regarding that? Are you keen on taking the job? And maybe if you just give us a bit of an insight to what you will be bringing to the Super Eagles if you are indeed made the head coach.
Yeah, I think there's been some discussion, but obviously I'm in a privileged position to be a national team coach at the moment with the under-20s as well. I think a natural progression for me would be my next step as a senior job. I've been an assistant coach with the U.S. as well, so I do feel like it's my next step. Me being a Nigerian American, what more could I ask for to coach Nigeria in a World Cup in the United States? My only problem would be, what would I do after that? You know, because that would be essentially a dream come true. For me, being a young coach with the experience that I've been given or afforded as a player and as a coach, it's something similar to what we're talking about. Like a lot of people have asked me, could you handle the egos and things like that of the Super Eagle players? To me, they're human beings, you know, and I think what's more important is how do you relate to each person individually before you can ever coach them. Some of the things that I would bring right away is you have to understand there's a core leadership group in that team. Whether we know it or like it or not, there's 4 or 5 players that we know really pull the strings on that team, not just on the field, but off the field. It's important for any coach, me particularly, I would want to find out who that group is and meet with them regularly, like right away, get to understand the dynamic of the team and where they're at emotionally in terms of what they've been through in their last progression with their last coaches, even in the interim moment and where they're at. And how do we move forward from that? So the style of play is also very important. I think giving clarity to the players. I have a very identifiable style of play that I've been working with for 6-7 years. I feel like I have in the Super Eagles the players that can really fit there.
All right, Coach, we must say thank you to you, and we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we can only wish you best of luck towards that role of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to hear from you soon.
All right, thank you. Always a pleasure to be on.
Before we go, interesting thing happening in the world of football, and it has to do, of course, with Bayer Munich's influence when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. Now, did you know that Bayern player featuring the starting lineup, Bayern player has featured in the starting lineup of the FIFA World Cup final since 1982? Yes, every World Cup final played since 1982 has a Bayern Munich player. That's something interesting and something.
If I can remember, I think last year we had Dio Upamecano. In previous years, we've had Kingsley Coman. I think we had Zerobeto in 2002, 2006. We had Frank Ribéry and Willy Sagnol. So that's actually amazing.
And we had also at the point in time Philip Lahm,
True.
You know, amongst others. Yeah. But Bayern Munich seems to do something that I don't know if we'll have them in the next World Cup final.
Yeah, it's a big club. You know, they may be having issues, you know, with Thomas Tuchel at the moment, but you can't take away what Bayern Munich has done. Even in the German Bundesliga, in the UEFA Champions League, and it just read out that statistics. It shows that it's a club that has contributed immensely towards football.
All right, wait to see how it goes. Interesting thing, the World Cup is not anytime soon, but of course preparations are in top gear. All right, we must also say thank you to our viewers, and thank you, Oyeuchi Wachuku, for your time. Okpe Adebere, always a pleasure having you in the show. And with me is a Favour Ito. I want to say thank you sincerely for watching the show. Don't forget the news is up next. Do have a lovely night rest.